Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Managed Service Panel. This is at the MSP equation, flexibility, coverage, and control. My name is Mark Dreyfus. I'm the Managed Service and Network Solutions Engineer here at C3. This panel will dive into how managed service providers are evolving from support vendors into strategic enablers of innovation, agility, and operational resilience for today and beyond. Oh, yeah. Join me in welcoming our panelists from leading managed service providers. We have Chaz Chalkley, Vice President, Channel and Strategic Partnerships at Dataprise. Chris Nickel, Vice President, Strategic National Channels at Thrive. And Matt Douglas, Senior Director of Solutions Engineering at CBTS. So let's jump right in. Chaz, and then we'll jump on after each of us done. How are managed service providers leveraging AI for predictive maintenance and proactive remediation?
All right, so that's basically AI ops, right? And using AI tools to help operations operate more effectively. So a lot of what we're using it for are looking for anomalous activity, right? Anomalies that come up throughout the day-to-day or over the course of a certain period of time. So the AI is trying to predict what is going to happen before it happens so that we can proactively patch or maintain or replace a piece of hardware that is potentially going to fail. So that's where we see a lot of it. The other aspect of it is in a lot of our support tools where we interact with the end users, where AI is bringing up knowledge base articles that we've created for them to make sure that the help desk experience is as efficient as possible, right? So those are the two areas that we're seeing a lot of it.
I'll add a little something to that, right? AI ops too, these AI tools are changing the nature of the product we're delivering too, like the hardware. Juniper is an example on the LAN and WAN side. Juniper's got some AI ops tools that literally can fix anomalies in your network on the fly. So you forget to put a voice VLAN on a particular port, it can fix that on the fly. You can build service levels on that network and say, okay, anytime that you lose less than 98% connectivity on a Wi-Fi SSID, I want you to do a data grab on that, open a ticket for me. So these AI ops tools are changing the nature of the product itself. And then from your point on the service side, an experience we've had is that CBTS, we've got a global SOC service, so SOC and MDR that we'll do with some of our customers. And SOC service, I've got to typically have tier one analysts, somebody eyes on glass taking a look at those things. That's pretty much been replaced now. There's a product called DropZone. There's several competitors. We use one called DropZone that's literally replaced our tier one analysts. And DropZone is taking a look at all these SIM feeds, playbooks, et cetera, and has drastically reduced our time to respond, right, and time to fix things. So these AI tools are in the products that are out there, even physical hardware that you're buying, and they're changing significantly then the promises that we can make as a managed service provider. Yep.
All right. Chris, what expectations should enterprises set for responsiveness and accountability?
Yeah, great question. And we always start with expectations, right? What is the end client's expectations? What are our expectations? We have certain expectations and standards that we've built into our platform, right? And I think one of the things that we pride ourselves on is our ability to be a research and development organization for our clients. There's a lot of different solutions, a lot of different point solutions out there. We've standardized on really best-in-breed technologies that we consume on your behalf and deliver back to you as a service. There's absolutely going to be things that, other tools that you utilize within your environment. How can we help you manage over the top of that? But there's a certain set of expectations that we have. There's expectations that the client has up front. So during the process of going through and developing a relationship, building a proposal for our end clients, we need to understand what your expectations are to get to the outcome that we're looking for, right? You're going to have certain business outcomes that you expect out of your support provider, right? Your IT, cybersecurity, cloud, compliance, all those components of the estate that you live with on a day in and day out basis that runs your business. there's going to be outcomes that you're expecting out of that provider. A lot of folks are working with other providers, or they're working with multiple providers. Are they looking to consolidate, some of the solutions and support providers that they've used in the past? So they have experience, and that's kind of the ideal customer profile for us. There's experience with other support providers. They're looking for certain outcomes beyond what may be provided by some of these solutions. So setting the expectations up front, being very clear and writing it into the contracts, being very clear on what you're expecting, which drives the relationship on an ongoing basis and helps us improve together, right? It's all about continuous improvement. From the first expectations. Expectations will always change over time. As your business changes, it grows. So, having those things set in stone, having a team that works with you from an account management perspective, both on the technical side and the business side, to continually kind of rewrite and reset, hey, these are the things that we're looking for now over the next 6, 12, 18 months. And, continually reset those things and look for continuous improvement in the processes and the technology, the people, everything.
Yeah, a big portion of that is going to be budget as well on the expectation side. Taking into example like a DRaaS solution, right? The customer really needs a CDP solution. You mentioned continuous, right? Continuous data protection, which comes with a 1-minute RPO objective. But do they have the budget for that? Because that's a lot of data. That's a very resource-intensive service. So making sure that you've planned for and have budgeted for the right solutions.
And part of that expectation too, tell me what you guys think about this, is that even though we've got a set of tools that we're comfortable with, we're going in and building custom programs for our clients, right? Because some clients might need, we have clients that we do managed services for that's literally monitoring only. We're just monitoring an edge, and they want smart hands if there's somebody to replace it. Well, that's completely different than a full day 2 managed moves, adds, and change on that firewall, right? On the security side, we've got customers that we do after-hour SOC services for. They've got, services during the day. So I think part of the expectations is that we're all very good, and a good managed service provider, I think, is meeting with you guys in the field, understanding where you need augmentation or replacement for certain processes, and how can we build a custom, specific, deliverable that's kind of linked back into your systems too.
Excellent. All right. Let's go here. Matt, what separates strategic providers from those offering only tactical support? So strategic versus tactical.
Yeah, I think we started talking, about a lot of that right here, right?
Yeah.
When we meet with a customer, our goal is not a tactical engagement. We would rather say no to a 3-year engagement where we weren't the right fit. We want to look for something with a 10-year relationship. That's our best relationships are long-term relationships. So understanding exactly what that customer's goals are, where they're headed in their journey, where they're headed in the AI journey. I mean, that's changing everything that we do now too, right? We've been at a very successful managed cloud service where we manage Azure and AWS and VMware workloads for customers. Well, that was a heck of a lot different. It's a heck of a lot different now than it was 3 years ago. The whole, so I think that the right partner has been around a while, knows when to say no, and then wants to build a custom strategic SLA that's going to help deliver the outcomes you guys are looking for as well. So,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll add to that. And, we like to say, it's not a revolution, it's an evolution, right? In our organization, where we're constantly evolving, meeting the clients where they are, but also trying to look ahead and craft a vision for, where are things headed, and how do we we're ahead of the journey that our clients are about to take, and AI is a good example of that, right? We've been utilizing the component pieces of AI, whether it be machine learning, event correlation, but building that on a foundation of very strong cybersecurity principles and processes, a very strong data governance policy and things like that. So we've been on that journey now for the last 8 or 9 years. So that's our in-house engineering, whether it's security engineering, the folks that are working on our ITSM system, which is built around ServiceNow. So within those platforms, intelligent automation, machine learning, all of those things that we've built in, products that we use to support our customers. We've been on that journey now for 8 or 9 years, so we feel very well positioned, and I think as a lot of the leading MSPs do feel this way, is that we've taken that journey already. So as you're looking at things that are in your future, your near future, or not too distant future, things like AI and utilizing some of the tools, whether it's LLMs or agentic AI, we've already been on that journey over the last 8 or 9 years. We've made a lot of the mistakes, right? We have the developers in-house. We've got teams of people that work on this for the benefit of the client experience. So we're in a great position to be able to be ahead of the curve when you're coming to us as a client and saying that, hey, we're looking to roll out this piece of automation or orchestration or AI and things like that. So I feel like that's where a strong partner, MSP partner, next gen support provider comes in, is kind of meeting you where you are, but being a little bit ahead. And we've done the research and development. We've made the mistakes, and can really drive value that way.
Tell me what you guys think about this too. As you build relationships with your customers, we're seeing more and more opportunity. They're asking for assistance even on the professional services side. Like in the AI world, coming in and taking a look at data readiness. And what am I going to do with this mess of data that I got, and how am I going to get it ready for whatever particular platform we're trying to build a solution on. On the AI side, we started to do now NIST, what is it called there? AI remote framework, or what AI framework, starting to do NIST consulting now, where before it was a simple pen test that you do on the security side. Now people are wanting to come in and use that NIST framework and say, okay, take a look at my whole AI structure, everything that I'm trying to build here. How is it meeting those NIST, or what's the other one? OWASP 10, OWASP Top 10, I think is the other one that our consulting group does. I obviously don't do that full time. But point I wanted to bring up was, I think that the great thing that's happened in the managed service provider too is that we do have these skills, and we're expanding also to be able to bring professional services to you wherever you need it. You have a particular need. If we've got a skill, how might you use that to solve a problem in your business?
So that the greater conversation dovetails into this next question. Chaz, how are managed service providers helping clients today have operational and specifically security risks?
So all of us up here are both MSPs and MSSPs, right? Where we're providing both the base level managed services, IT services, help desk, NOC, backup and DRAS, that sort of thing, as well as MSSPs, where we're providing the EDR, MDR, XDR solution set. So being able to have visibility into the entire network, not just into your best practices of IT, is really where we benefit. Utilizing all of our resources internally. You mentioned, pen tests, vulnerability assessments, framework gap assessments, to make sure, and governance readiness, to make sure that their data is ready for AI. We're seeing still a lot of customers that haven't adopted AI. Well, their end users definitely have, but not the larger organizations themselves outside of sales and marketing. So it's working with them to identify where they're ready, where they're not ready, and helping them go through that journey and get them into the end strategic initiative that they have.
Awesome. Chris, what core cybersecurity services are non-negotiable, must-haves as part of the platform?
Yeah, great question. So, yeah, I think that if you look at where the market has gone, and I'll even take it at the most basic level, everybody needs cyber insurance at this point, right? And you look at where the underwriters have come over the last, call it, 5 years. 5 years ago, it was a very short list of things that were non-negotiables. And now if whoever your insurance company may be, the underwriters have definitely become smart with the threats that exist out there, as well as, okay, what are the things that an end client needs to do to remediate those risks in the long term. And so the list is pretty extensive, and that's where, when you're looking at a next gen support provider that has the managed security capabilities, we built that from the ground up, right? We've been a tenured service provider for 25 years, very focused in, call it the first 15 years in IT network, on-prem management, and in the last 10 years, of course, journey to cloud for our clients, and the cybersecurity piece, which we built from the ground up. And we look at it as an accountability conversation where who is accountable for that. A lot of clients out there will have, SMBs may have anywhere from 5 to 10 different tools from a cybersecurity perspective. Mid-market companies 10 to 20 tools. So, who's accountable for that? Are all of those different support providers or tool providers accountable for that? Are you accountable for it internally? Or are you looking to partner with someone who can be accountable for the entire stack that now has become non-negotiable, which is having a 24/7 SOC, MDR, of course, MDR, XDR, EDR, all of those things, but also incident response, remediation. Who's putting hands on keyboard and doing the remediation? Is it a shared accountability? Is it co-managed between your MSSP and the client? Helping you through your compliance program, right? Doing compliance as a service for whatever compliance areas, regulatory areas that you focus on, and then advisory over the top, right? Having someone actually run your program while also executing on that program and being accountable for it back to you for your regulators, your cyber insurance providers, doing the due diligence and kind of walking hand in hand with you while you do those things.
And the must-haves are expanding, right? Particularly the attestation of those services and processes. Now you've really got to prove that you did those things. And we're expanding more, so it's like our patching service. You go back 5 years ago, nobody was asking for help on patching. Patching is now becoming, it used to be janitorial work, now it's becoming cybersecurity work. And so folks like us can offer a patching program with SLAs, 95%, et cetera, that we're going to patch multiple windows. So even patching, this whole, what's kind of required in the cybersecurity suite continues to expand, and managed service providers respond with bringing additional products and services to fit those needs.
Yeah, the non-negotiable for us is often overlooked by organization, and that's training. You can have the best tools out there that are monitoring and protecting your environment. By the way, that goes for AI as well. That's where AI fails, is a lack of how to properly use the AI implementation or the AI tool sets. But for us, it's training. We call it the human firewall. That's your weakest point in every organization, is going to be that user that clicks on something, regardless of where it is. So making sure that they understand what proper cybersecurity hygiene looks like, what those practices look like, that is paramount for us.
You mentioned firewall real quick, though, right? So one of the things that's changed in this AI environment, more and more folks are building their own agentic AI stacks, right? Or put them on top of CX platforms. There's a whole other classification now of AI firewall. A firewall software that sits between a user and that agentic, that agent environment. This firewall sits between that agent and the LLM. It sits between the agent and the databases. And there's companies like Cisco, Palo, some others that are now bringing AI products that as soon as you start building your own agentic AI, you're going to have to be layering in a whole other level of firewall. Somebody who understands that, can help manage it, deploy it. So it's continuing to give us more opportunity to work.
When you have an MSSP like the three vendors here, you have that managed SOC, managed service across the board that has the visibility of the security environment. When there is an incident, and you have to use the word incident, there's nothing worse than having different vendors, the different products, security products, point the fingers at each other instead of working together. When you have a united managed service, you're immediately working to try and remediate, isolate, and move to recover. So that's a huge benefit working with managed service.
Well, so yeah, absolutely. So one, we got to understand. Sometimes we're using a customer SIM. Sometimes we're using our own SIM tools. So we got to understand as well. Again, back to expectations. What's that response time they're looking for? And then we're doing more and more, you guys probably are as well, doing more and more linking of our ticketing system, in case ServiceNow, into your ticketing system.
Yep.
So that's part of building the expectation. Who wants to see tickets? Who's going to respond? It's all set up from the beginning, hopefully. Right.
And as soon as we onboard a security services customer, the first thing we do is call their cybersecurity insurance firm. Right? We are a DFIR firm internally, so we can immediately start doing that digital forensics and incident response if and when something does happen. So setting expectations across the board, even with the third-party supply chain.
That's a good point.
Matt, how can organizations evaluate the user experience of working with an MSP?
That's a good question.
It's tough.
I mean, I think it goes back to what we were talking about originally of that first engagement, understanding what a customer is looking for. We have some customers who are literally saying, take all this off my plate, or a lot of it off my plate, right? We want you to bring in the XDR and MDR, EDR tools. We want you to do the patching. We want you to manage our cloud workloads, right? Other customers want us to build, again, like I mentioned, something custom as far as we're just monitoring an edge device and we're smart hands in case it goes down. So I think it goes back to understanding what the customer's looking for, whether we're a fit, because we're not always a fit. We got to say no when we're not the right fit, and then build that right kind of process to deliver on the expectations that you need. Now, we typically also allow co-management. Any of the tools we're using, we allow our customers to get into those same tools. So let's say that we're a big Fortinet, Cisco, Palo shop. So let's say we're coming in on the Palo side, and they've got the XDR, EDR tools, and there's an interface called Strata that's a great interface to manage some of that stuff. We'll give that same co-management to the customer, and yes, they can make mistakes, and we can pick up the pieces. But so again, I think it just goes back to a deep discovery and understanding and a mutual SLA that we build for every customer.
I may take the question too literally, but we deploy a CSAT tool for all of our customers, right? We actually have a CSAT survey that goes out. We have default questions that we can ask, or we can work with you to create a custom set of questions that we send out to the users or targeted set of users on a quarterly basis. So we want to make sure that we're tracking the satisfaction level. Are we meeting the expectations that we've set, or the unknown expectations that are out there with that entire end user base?
Yeah, and I think it's also to that point, it's continuous feedback, right, and cadence meetings, and really managing the relationship effectively you have to be continually looking for feedback, whether that's a survey down to the end user layer. We believe we've done a fair job of kind of instrumenting things, the whole concept of digital employee experience, DEX, which is kind of a forthcoming area that a lot of MSPs are moving into, where there's a lot of things that we can do to measure that, but the continuous feedback, the surveys, the different things like that go into creating a net promoter rating, or something along those lines, a CSAT score, the cadence meetings, and it's really about managing the relationship, just as it would expect to have from an internal team, right? Being able to have continual meetings and cadence meetings with those teams to ensure that the outcomes that you're expecting are where they need to be, and that we're successful together.
We got about 5 minutes left. I wanted to see if anyone had any questions for our panelists.
Anything at all?
Anybody?
I got a question. What services do you provide that you see customers will start doing on their own because of AI?
I would say that there's a way to go. There's kind of we've got a little bit of time before that really takes full precedence. There's a lot of the things that we're utilizing to support our customers today that call them AI powered, right, with all the different components that go into it, going back again, the machine learning, the data correlation, the different things that are happening there, that eventually the customer will be able to leverage. And one of the things, you talk a little bit about the platform that we utilize and bring you into, there are a lot of things within that platform around intelligent automation that can be leveraged by the end client. And it comes down to, does that client then want to make the investment in those same things to be able to extend that and utilize that on their own? But I do feel it's a great question, because it is part of the journey, right? And are there things then that you can gain from a relationship with a provider? As the three of us sit here today, are there things that you could take away from that relationship that you can then leverage, right? Things that we've already learned, and the roads that we've already traveled. Can you then take those things on and utilize those things? And then it comes down to, are you able to make that investment as part of your business to be able to do those things? But certainly the capabilities are there. It's, where are you on that journey that you'll be able to effectively leverage the same things that we're leveraging at scale, right, for your business?
I think we see more of it in the larger accounts in the enterprise space where they have the budget to deploy some of the enterprise grade tooling that we have internally. I'll use AI as an example, or a chatbot as an example. Obviously, you asked about AI, so we have an AI-driven chatbot that is kind of like a self-help for our end users, right? Actually, we're deploying it out. We went through a beta phase with our largest customers. They were happy with it, so now we're deploying it out. I can envision some of our larger customers saying, well, why don't you just help us build out our own AI chatbot and take those tier 1 and 2 help desk tickets off of your plate. So we'll work with them on migrating our knowledge base articles into their ITSM so that their chatbot can help maybe streamline or lower the spend with Dataprize.
I do think there'll be some continued advances on managing LAN, WAN, and Wi-Fi environments. We manage, I don't know, 30,000 locations across like 5,000 customers of LAN and WAN equipment, Meraki, Fortinet, et cetera. And that's all linked back into our ITSM tools, et cetera. We're looking at alerts. We're doing moves, adds, and changes for people, et cetera. I believe 5 years from now, you'll be able to buy a LAN, WAN, Wi-Fi stack that really can do a lot of that work. And you won't need a managed service provider. Our value will be less in that stack. So.
You mentioned it with cybersecurity already, right? Those tier 1 analysts that's AI now.
That's a great point. Literally the vast majority of our tier 1 analysts are being done by Dropzone. So. Anything else?
Good question. We had to think about it for a while.
Yeah. All right, Chaz, Chris, and Matt, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thanks for
Appreciate
having
it.
us.
Thank you.